Isn't it surprising how no matter what you go through, feel, and witness in your adult life, there's always room for you to ask, what the fuck is wrong with people? While browsing Reddit this morning, I came across two stories that detail why every institution isn't for everyone. Two stories that showcase how selfishness, carelessness, and outright audacity can take a beautiful institution like marriage and turn it into hell. So in our first story, we have a husband and wife who recently became parents. And right up there with getting married, having the title of mother and father is both an honor and a privilege. And this happy couple's marriage would soon change after the wife makes a strange request. My wife and I have been together for 4 years and currently have a 16-month-old daughter. We both split work 50-50, and despite this, I acknowledge how it's more physically challenging for her with the postpartum phase and constant breastfeeding. I am also very pro-therapy, so regardless of any evaluations, I encouraged her to attend a few sessions, and she and her therapist both agree that she does not have postpartum depression. I'm letting everyone know this because I really want to be able to find a way to talk sense into her without putting all of it on depression. Okay, so this is really interesting so far. Whatever issue they have going on, he really wanted to make sure that his wife was healthy. And whatever issue they had been dealing with, he wanted to make sure that postpartum depression wasn't the cause. And so I agree with him in wanting his wife to go and talk to a therapist and really making sure that postpartum depression isn't the reason for the issue. You see, for most men, it's as simple as your wife or girlfriend or significant other gets pregnant, delivers the baby, brings the baby home, and that's it. We don't think about the physical and emotional toll that it takes to have a baby. And my wife suffered from postpartum depression, and so I really empathize with his position and just wanting to make sure that his wife isn't suffering through the same thing, especially if he believed that it may be causing this issue that's going on between them. Anyway, my wife and I have had a huge fight over something. She says that she's tired from feeling like a mom and wants to take a 4-week vacation with her friend who's based in Europe. Wait a minute. That's a red flag. While I empathize with the difficulty of carrying a baby, delivering a baby, and the mental toll it takes to be a mother, you do not have the right to abandon your responsibilities for the sake of being tired. When you decide to have a child, the care and well-being of that child becomes your #1 priority. And you don't get to take a 4-week vacation because you're tired. The mature thing in this particular circumstance would be to communicate with your husband and work out a schedule that works best for the both of you, so therefore you get the mental and physical break you need. You don't plan a 4-week vacation away from your husband, what it seems like, and child, for you to go live like you did before you met your husband and had your baby. It just doesn't make any sense. Her reasoning for going for 4 weeks is that she gets to earn it after childbirth and 1.5 years of being a mom. She also says she has her own savings and how she always dreamt of exploring Europe, so this is her chance and she wants her identity back. This is some of the most selfish shit I've ever heard. Now, this may sound strange the way I'm framing it, but just roll with me a little bit. She is going to go through her own personal savings, forego the duties of being a wife and a mother, and spend her money on a personal vacation because she's earned it and she wants her identity back. Well, I've got news for you. It doesn't work that way. Once you become a wife and a mother, that is your identity. There is no going back. You don't get to have 1 foot in and 1 foot out the door. Again, like I said before, if you want a break, you work with your current resources, aka your husband and maybe some close friends and family. And you work out a compromise in order to do what's best for you, your husband, and your child. But again, you do not get to forego your responsibilities for the sake of partying it up in Europe. What kind of selfish bullshit is that? I disagree with her and told her that her priorities are bound to change and she cannot expect to have a single life back. I would happily step up and take on her share of the childcare if she wanted to do a weekend trip or a spa day, and would fully support that. Apparently, that's not enough for her. I told her if she wants to really do something about her savings, it would be great if we could do something maybe as a couple or a family together, because I also deserve a break as much as she does. I told her how it's selfish she's choosing to spend her savings entirely on herself when I nearly exhausted all my personal savings on a large family expense. I told her I cannot fathom the idea of a mom wanting to be away from her toddler for nearly a month, and almost shamed her for it. And it was making things difficult for me because I realistically would have had to exhaust my PTO and be both mom and dad to our baby. I told her I cannot stay in a relationship with someone who cannot compromise with me on this. Isn't it amazing how he exhausted his savings and used it on the family? But when it comes to her savings, she decides to use it for herself. Now, for some of you who don't quite get this and are on the side of, well, it's her money, she should be able to spend it on what she wants, it's the fact that she decides to spend her money on herself whilst also removing herself of her wife and motherly duties. And at the first chance her husband got, he decided to use his savings on a family purchase. Do you see the difference? It doesn't seem like she values her family very much, and in the moment she's only taking a look at what she's gone through, and she's unilaterally decided that whatever it is that she went through was worth the cost of this vacation. And there seems to be a clear lack of regard on her part for how he's spent his savings for the family. And I can totally see his issue here, because he doesn't get to stop being a dad. He doesn't get to stop being a husband. And when his family needed him the most, he dipped into his personal savings and did what was best for his family. But when her family needs her the most, she dips into her personal savings and goes on a vacation. It's absolutely crazy. You can't make this shit up. She started crying and told me she wants to feel like herself again. And I told her she definitely can do something this weekend as well, but her propositions are highly unrealistic. It seems that she does not want to accept things as they are. I suggested maybe she could get therapy, and got told I won't accept the unacceptable, and how I was condescending her into therapy. Can someone please share what I should say to her? Edit. Just to clarify my stance on trips. I fully support it if she wants to take a trip over the weekend with her sisters or friends, or with other spouses or even our parents. We should be able to do that. Personally, for me, a good cutoff would be 4 to 5 days. Everyone is entitled to their own preferences, and I sure knew where my wife and I stood when we got married. A part of me really feels for this guy, but a part of me really doesn't, because I'm skeptical. Selfish behavior like this doesn't just manifest itself out of nowhere. He mentioned that he knew where he and his wife stood when they got married, but due to the extreme nature of how selfish she is, I cannot imagine this is the first time she's tried to pull a stunt like this. Now, maybe it didn't seem like such a big deal in the past because they did not have a baby, and dads don't do well at being mom, nor do moms do well at being dad. And I really wish that I had a little bit more context on their relationship, because I'm a person that believes that people don't change. They either become more of who they are or less of who they are. And yes, we can learn through experience, and we can learn to modify and shift our behaviors to suit our needs depending on the situation. But ultimately, our innate desires and who we are as people, those things may never change. And it's really hard for me to believe that she wasn't like this before he put a ring on it. Now, aside from that, this woman is completely selfish, and it's completely absurd for her to think that it's okay to basically leave her toddler with her husband for a month in Europe. Also, why do you think it's okay for him to have to exhaust all of his PTO days for you to go on a 4-week vacation? And what do you expect to do on this vacation? How do I know that you're even going to want to return? If being a wife and a mother is too tough for you and it's enough to make you want to leave for 4 weeks, why should I even expect you to come back? Don't you know what you're going to come back to, and don't you know that it's going to be much of the same? This really isn't a solution to the problem. And I totally agree with him that it's not becoming of a wife or a husband to take so much time away from their family. Now, there may be some circumstances. There could be some external family issues. Maybe there could be a sick family member that you have to leave and take care of. Maybe you're employed and you have to travel as part of your business. There are some extenuating circumstances, but it is never okay to just say, you know what, I am tired of being a husband or wife, and I am tired of being a father or mother, and I'm just going to take a vacation for 4 weeks. That shit is absolutely unacceptable. Now, before we move on to the next story that involves a cheating spouse, let me know if you agree with the husband or the wife. Please leave your thoughts in the comments, like the video, and subscribe for more stories. Let's move on to the next one. My husband has this best friend, Anna. They've been friends for a long time and dated years ago, mutually deciding that it's best for them to remain friends, and I've had no problem with this relationship until now. On the day I gave birth, Anna's brother got into a car accident. My husband got a call from her in the middle of the night and asked him if he could drop her off at the hospital an hour away from us, since she was too scared to drive. My husband agreed, told me quickly while I was half asleep, and rushed out. A few hours later, I had contractions and called my husband. He didn't pick up after multiple tries, so I gave up and called my dad, who drove me to the local hospital. I was so scared of giving birth alone, since I've had about 3 miscarriages and 1 still born. My husband promised me that no matter what, he'd be there for me. Guess what? He wasn't. We called multiple times while I was in labor, and when he finally picked up my dad's call, I was giving birth, saying he misplaced his phone in the chaos. Now that's some bullshit. What kind of chaos could he get himself into at a hospital where he'd misplace his phone? I mean, is he checking blood pressure? Is he organizing charts, giving meds? I mean, is he giving fucking IVs? This is a major red flag. And not only that, there's no way in hell he didn't know that his wife was ready to give birth soon. Listen, I'm the type of person that likes to call a spade a spade. This guy sounds like a piece of shit. My dad informed him that no matter how fast he drives anymore, he's going to miss the birth of his child. Well, my husband took that as he's already screwed up, so it doesn't matter when he shows up at this point. So when he finally came, our daughter was about 5 hours old, and I'd already moved to the maternity ward. This motherfucker is on one. So not only did you misplace your phone, when you finally found out that your child was born, you didn't even immediately rush to the hospital to welcome them into this world with your wife together as a family. Instead, you'd rather be with another woman and her family. I said this guy was a piece of shit, right? Am I allowed to say it again? When he came, I refused to let him see our baby because I was so high on emotions and I was shaking when I saw him, and I didn't want it to negatively affect my time with the baby. I wanted her birth to be a happy time, and I was already struggling to feed her. My husband was in a bad state and told me to please let him see her. So I told him to stand by the window, and he held the baby up so he could see her. I told him then to leave, and he'll be allowed to interact with the baby at my father's home when we were both well and out of the hospital, and that I was most likely divorcing him. He started bawling and apologizing and defended himself by saying that Anna's brother was in serious critical condition, and although he's fine, Anna needed him. Does this guy not understand what priorities are, and if he does, what order they're supposed to be in? You mean to tell me some ex, whom you're not married to, whom you did not ask for their hand in marriage, they needed you more than your wife giving birth to your daughter? Did I already say he was a piece of shit? Though Anna's parents were there, she's not that close with them, and she was in an unbearable state. I told him that I didn't care and that his daughter has already come second to him, and all she did was be born. I'm putting my daughters and my health first and won't let her be sidelined. My husband agreed and left. Figures. However, Anna called me later and said that I was being controlling, and she never met someone as cruel as me for not letting a father see his baby. I told her that my husband made his decision and that this was his doing, not mine. There's no way that Anna called you. There's no way that Anna called you. There's no way that he's your husband. And there's no way that Anna called you. Because in what universe is it appropriate for a husband to leave his pregnant wife, who's close to delivery, in the middle of the night to go be with his ex's family, not answer the phone, ignore many calls, show up 5 hours later and expect everything to be okay, then for Anna to call and insult this woman by basically calling her selfish and a terrible person? There's no way this story is real. There's no way that people like this actually exist, because the husband and Anna fucking belong together. And wait. Did I say that he was a piece of shit? But now I can't help but feel cruel in my actions, and I feel like I'm depriving my baby of both her parents being together. My husband sees her a few hours each day now. Am I the asshole? Ma'am, you are not the asshole. You've carried this child for 9 months. You've gone through some major physical and emotional changes. And I'm sorry that your husband is an asshole, but I do understand your concerns about breaking up a family. I'm not too fond of families being broken up because I'm a strong believer that children are raised best with both parents. However, I do understand that there are extenuating circumstances to where the healthiest situation for the child is when the parents are separated. And I'm very certain that your husband and Anna still have something going on. I mean, this guy really is an asshole. And it's really unfortunate that maybe it took this long for her to figure it out. But as skeptical as I was in the first story, stating that that husband had to know who his wife was before he married her, I still feel the same in this particular situation. Edit. I feel like this is useful information and could explain why Edit. I feel like this is useful information and could explain why I was so mad. Anna's brother was not in a life or death situation. He had serious injuries, but most were concentrated on his legs and arms. He did have a concussion but gained consciousness soon. Anna was there along with both her parents who managed all the hospital stuff. My husband was there as emotional support for Anna. I did let my husband see our baby, right after I got discharged. I wanted a couple of days of rest and bonding with the baby since my emotions were so high, and I was afraid if my husband was a continuous presence, I'd get stressed and something bad would happen. I told him as such. They spend time together, but I'm still cold with him. I may still be the asshole. I don't know. But I'm still so mad at him, and it's not the first time he put Anna before me. I knew it. I can forgive the other time since I could handle it, but this time was the last straw. I was so scared to hold my baby because I was paranoid the minute I touched her. Something would happen to her and no one was there to comfort me. I only had my dad, but he wasn't in the delivery room, which is why I'm not too keen on forgiving my husband. Also, we both knew the baby was due any time now, so I don't understand why my husband didn't have his phone on him. We even tried reaching out to Anna, and she didn't pick up either. After he learned I was giving birth, they already knew that Anna's brother was going to be alright. He spent that time making sure Anna was okay and feeding her, and then waiting for the brother to regain consciousness. He could have come back after seeing his daughter to talk with the brother. He would have made it back in time. So the divorce is probably going to happen. My brother is looking at lawyers for me. In the midst of this whole mess, this post made me realize I never checked on Anna's brother to see how he's healing because I was so irked by Anna. I called him and he said that he was doing well and would be out of the wheelchair soon. He asked about me and the baby and how I was doing with the split and if I was okay with my husband and Anna. Come on, man. We already knew. We already knew. I can't believe I was so oblivious. I thought they had an emotional thing going on because of this, and when I confronted my husband, he denied it and said me and our baby were his priority and he made a mistake and he was being dumb. Yeah, no. Anna's brother kindly informed me that he and Anna's parents thought that my husband and I split when I was 7 months pregnant. I said he was a piece of shit, right? I think I said that before. And that Anna and him were back on. He showed up at the hospital as Anna's boyfriend, which is why they didn't bat an eye that he was there and not with his pregnant wife, because apparently we split. Her brother's procedures were done well before the afternoon, so I don't know what my husband and Anna were doing for all those hours, but I don't even want to know. It's always good when you suspect something and it turns out to be true. Now, we suspected this earlier. We knew he was a piece of shit. We knew his priorities were out of order. We knew he had a lack of regard for his pregnant wife and his newborn child. And we knew that Anna was his #1 priority. It seems like all the writing was on the wall though, because like she said, this isn't the first time he's done something like that. And remember, I said, behavior like this doesn't just come out of nowhere. The signs are always there because people don't change. They either become more or less of who they are. And this is the consequence. You put yourself in a position to have a baby with a man like this. You're gonna take some accountability too for this one. This is gonna be a tough pill to swallow. The only innocent person here is that child, but you decided to marry a man like this and decided to bring a child into this world with him. You are getting your karma for that. You are divorcing him and you no longer have a family. However, I hope that you can heal from this and raise that child healthily in a safe and loving co-parenting relationship. But that's going to be it for the video. Let me know in the comments which person was worse. In my opinion, definitely the husband. I mean, this guy is a piece of shit. Now, the wife in the first scenario, sure, she was selfish, but she was nowhere near as selfish as this husband was, having a completely separate relationship while your wife was pregnant with your child, lying to Anna and her family about splitting from your wife, and lying to your wife about the status of your relationship with Anna. You, my friend, are in the piece of shit Hall of Fame. But please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments which story you enjoyed the most and if you'd like me to do videos like this in the future. And subscribe for more content. Peace.